Alrighty, today we are back for another AI Tool Report live podcast. Our guest today is a bit of a serial entrepreneur. Been doing my research on you, and there's a million different projects that I can see. You've also got a history of working at Apple that I want to jump into. So, welcome to the podcast, Shayan.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. I want to start off with a bit of a weird question. I was having a look, doing some research on you, and I found one of your profiles somewhere, and it said that you'd met Tim Cook twice. Tell me about that.
Oh, oh yeah. I mean, that's when you work at these big companies, right? I mean, if you work at any company, you're going to meet the CEO. Actually, one of my tactics for getting jobs used to be I would email the CEO of these companies. And so I got a job at Amazon by emailing Jeff Bezos. Obviously, usually their assistant picks up, but sometimes they actually read it themselves. So Tim Cook, I met a bunch of times. Um, at Apple Park, basically, they loved Siri. So they put all this money into Siri. I'm not going to bash it, obviously. Like, they were really nice to me, but so Siri was right next door to the executives. One time I actually, I shouldn't say this, but I did sneak in. And then a different time, I was just at the cafeteria, like eating food or whatever. And then I see Tim Cook out of the corner of my eye, and he couldn't get into the building. Like his badge wasn't working. So I was like, hell yeah, like I'm just gonna go get this guy in there and then I can talk to him. So then I go to open the door for him. I like use the badge, and then as I'm about to let him in, I stop and I look at him and I'm like, wait, this could be a test. If I let him in, he's gonna say, holy shit, like you're not supposed to do that, you're fired. So obviously, why the hell would the CEO of a $1 trillion company be testing a low-level engineer? Like, who gives a shit? But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. So Siri was right next door, and then I don't know. Other times you just see him, and he'd say hello. He's actually a really nice guy, obviously, but he just has to put on the whole like he's a really important dude, right? So he's not just gonna say hello to everybody, but
Yeah. I can imagine his time as well is pretty sparse. You said that, like Surrey was like super important. They put a lot of investment. You worked there for like 4 or 5 years, from what I understand. Like, what was that time period like? What was the work you were doing?
yeah. So I was there right when it was going from startup into like competition was heating up and other companies were seeing the importance. So when I first got there, there was we didn't even have Apple Park, like the big spaceship building. It was Infinite Loop, and then across the street was a tiny, like next door was a tiny, like 3-story building. I knew everybody, and that was Siri, right? So there was this other satellite office, but pretty much Siri was a 3-story building. One section was the NLP, and then the other section was the application development. Like it was nothing. Like even before that, like when they actually sold Siri to Apple, bro, they were using regex expressions. They didn't even have like these models. They were using nuance would take the waveform of speech to text, and then they would use regex to figure out what it was. Like the things you can do with just regular software, and as long as people like it, right? My favorite story is the fact that, you know, they were really good at marketing. So they had Siri. So Siri wasn't that good, obviously. Like it couldn't do that much stuff. But their regular conversation, their banter was written by this lady that was just hilarious. So it would just
Mm.
like chirp you, right? And people loved that. And she was just death incarnate. Like you'd see her walk across the street and she was just wearing all black, just hilarious woman. Um, yeah, and then she left and things went downhill. Honestly, that's the reason why Siri went behind ChatGPT. It just stopped being funny.
Really, you think that was like such a big decider of whether people used it was like the integrated comedy within its natural kind of, I guess, like personality?
It's not what I think. This is what it was. Like Siri's capabilities were so small that people used it because Siri was funny. Like it was a huge, huge portion of it. Like, but then obviously things got better, right? They included like actual NL models. They trained in house. They did all these incredible things. They moved off new one. Like, yes, Siri got better. Like, Siri didn't get to ChatGPT level freaking general intelligence, but it did improve a lot. Their money just went. I mean, I don't know. I just it's kind of funny, right? That like there's all these research papers coming out, and then Apple had billions of dollars and didn't do it. I don't know.
Well, what do you think about, obviously, Apple's about to release the 16, they're releasing Apple Intelligence across all of the M1 MacBooks, the iPads, everything else as well. Like, are you excited about it, optimistic? How do you feel about it having such a unique insight into the kind of Apple ecosystem and Siri?
Yeah, I was thinking about it a bit yesterday. I think, I mean, it's like a lot of the features, for example, so, okay, what Apple's doing is what's happening in the AI industry as a whole. So nothing's really that different, right? You've got this incredible research that happened. You've got this new technology, which is the LLM, right? So all Apple can do really is just come out with new applications on top of it. Apple's not going to come out with some crazy new research at the drop of a hat. That's just not how research works. Okay. You're not just going to be like, the market wants it. We're coming out with LLM 85. Like that takes time. Like look at ChatGPT, right? Even from GPT, I guess 4.0 until their next release, it's going to be 6 months to a year. So for Apple to come out and say Apple Intelligence, I'm not going to say that's marketing. What that is just you've got this core technology, okay, that they're now including into their iPhones, and then you've got applications on top. That's all it is. It's not some crazy marketing campaign. I'm not going to go that far, but it's just, yeah, they have their own spin on it. They have new apps. For example, they were saying like when you're taking notes, you can do this. Now you can search your photos. So they have this intelligence, which is what we already have. Every single human being on this planet has heard of it or used it. The applications on top, they're different. And you know what? That's cool.
Yeah. I guess with Apple as well, though, you've got to just be like everything's got to be super battle tested, right, before you can release that to the general public. And one of the kind of unique perspectives they've got is that a lot of people that use iPhones like aren't that technologically capable. Like the whole point of Apple is that their UI is so simple and clean that anyone can use it. So for some people, it might actually be like the first time they experience like that level of intelligence. Like I mean, I think ChatGPT only just crossed 200 million users. So I mean, like out of the potential market of people that have iPhones, there's probably a lot of people this will be their first introduction to AI. And like speaking of that, obviously you were at Siri, you've got a
Not to AI.
background.
People have already used AI. Their first introduction to LLMs.
Okay, there we are. In what way have people already used AI then?
So many ways. Like even the way that mail was getting sent to you, like mail was getting read, was AI models were reading those images. Google search used AI. Siri always use AI models, right? So the problem with AI is the goalpost has always changed. It's like, what was AI? Well, you know, whenever they use chess, like I don't, they're just like they play chess online. Like I don't know. There's so many AI models out there. Um, yeah,
Could we rephrase it to like it's their first kind of maybe conscious interaction with the technology?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way. That's a good way to phrase it.
With that being said, what was your do you remember the first moment that you heard about AI and LLMs? Can you take me back to that kind of time period for yourself?
So basically, when I left Apple, I started Zero Inbox, and The reason I started Zero Inbox was this is going to make me sound insane, but I've read a lot about the economy. So the economy is essentially just a production mechanism similar to nature. So this is again going to make you sound crazy, but so when you're thousands of years ago, there was no human production. Okay, it was all nature. You would go to the tree to get the apple. You would go hunting. It was nature produced. Now humans began to produce things themselves. Okay, so we now take the core building blocks from nature and then we produce things on top of that. That's our economy. Okay, so when I was walking through New York, I just started thinking about this and I said, okay, the core tenet of our economy, who's producing? Human beings, right? With AI, the the how do I say this? Not the progress, but the what is it when you what is it when you right, I'm losing track when you your efficiency gains become insane, right? So if you get productivity, sorry. So if the main engine of production is now human beings, right? A productivity gain of 10% is incredible. The GDP growth of 3% is seen as good. If all of a sudden, we have productivity gains with AI of 100%, 200%, you've seen it, right? I had this vision. I was like, this is possible. This was, I think, a year before ChatGPT released. So then I just started writing Zero Inbox, right? And then when did I hear about LLMs? So as I was writing Zero Inbox, I was encountering problems every single day, right? So how are we going to make this AI model? What are we going to do? I knew that we had to do this and like to train it ourselves because there was no ChatGPT APIs. Okay. And on the flight to Iran from Dubai, this guy in front of me was a professor of AI from Berkeley. And he says, hey man, like get my email. There's this new thing called LLMs coming out, like these large language models. So before ChatGPT, there was already research into this. They just made it bigger and available to the public. And maybe they figured out a few little things here and there, but yeah, so that was the first time I heard about it, was in the back of a plane to Iran from Dubai
Wow.
that we were hoping would not fall. It didn't. I love Iran, but yeah, it didn't fall. So we're here.
All right. So with that, you obviously mentioned Zero Inbox. This is how we initially came into contact as well. Could you, one, tell the audience more about like what you guys actually do, what you built at Zero Inbox, and two, maybe as like a side question from that, go into a little bit about the kind of technical aspects of how that actually works too on the back end.
Yeah, so Zero Inbox is an email manager. Okay, so the way that 99% of people use it, and a few people signed up last night and paid, which was dope. The way that 99% of people use it is an email cleaner. That's all they use it as. The main insight to Zero Inbox is that the UI and the way that you consume email hasn't changed since the 90s. It's just this chronological ordering, the newest email up top, and that's it. There's all this intelligence in the back end of so you might like take stuff out if some things are spam, but it's just this chronological ordering. You click it and you send an email. That's it. Even with the advent of AI, that hasn't changed. It's still this chronological ordering, and you might have a nice search bar up top that has like an LLM in it, but it's still the same thing. What Zero Inbox did is say, hey, instead of having this view and then an AI at the top and kind of in the background, what if what we show you is these big chunks that the AI thinks you should look at? And that's it. And it's just easier processing. You can still go up top and maybe look at that chronology, but that's it. It's just managing in a really simple way chunks of emails. Just it shows it to you, boom. What do you want to do with it? 2 buttons. That's it. And I think that simplified view is really what we did. Now in the back end, I don't really want to get into that, obviously, how we do all this, but we have our in-house trained models. We trained it on our own emails that we acquired. And again, this was before ChatGPT came out. So we had to train it ourselves. A lot of the tagging things that we do, you could use OpenAI APIs, but they're still too expensive.
How, I mean, like email's a problem for everyone if you're involved in any sort of business or you just exist as a human being and you've got an email, then everyone runs into the same issues of how to organize that, right? How do you set yourself apart from the competition? Say, for example, Superhuman AI, that's another email inbox manager out there. How are you setting yourself apart from the competition out there?
I think I think the funny thing about competition is people would love to say, like people first of all tell you, what are you doing? Like there's this big guy out there, they're gonna take your lunch. And it's like, dude, they would love it if they had 100% of the market. Like there is a person right now, I'm telling you, in the executive suite of Superhuman or some office, they're not even whatever, they're not that big, but some office. And if you were to go to him or her and say, "Hey, you're going to have 100% of the market," they would kiss you. They would have a party. There would be champagne. They would be very happy. Okay, that's not the case. That is not the case. There's always going to be some people who want to use a different type of product. Our product is different. It's extremely simple to use. It's faster than everybody's. It's meant for the regular person like Lisa, who's a nurse and has shit going on in her life, opens up her zero inbox, boom, 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 deals with it. Done. Right? When Apple was coming out with iCloud, okay, if you remember this was years ago, the Dropbox CEO was shitting his pants, right? Like all these newspapers were like, Dropbox is going down, Box is going down. They're just like, they're listing off the killing. It didn't happen. Dropbox is still having free lunches. Box CEO is still tweeting up a storm. No one died. Like, and the fact is because these big companies do solve that general case. Superhuman's not even that big, but the big companies like Google, Apple solve the general case. But these specific cases for enterprise, etc., there's just so much to go around. There's 1.5 billion Gmail users. That's insane, right? Again, Superhuman would love to have all of those.
Interesting. With so how long have you been running Zero Inbox for now?
Um, I remember I came back from Iran on that trip. It was 2022 January. February was when we started, March, so it would be 2023, 2024, March, April, May, June.
2.5 years, 2.5 years roughly.
Yeah, fuck. I just don't give up. I don't have that bone in my body. I don't even know how much time has gone. I just do it.
Relentless. With that, like, is there anything been that's really so with organizing emails, right, based on like this kind of underlying AI and LLMs that you attached to it, is there anything that surprised you about, I guess, the human psychology, about the way people organize or like what their preferences are with email inboxes? Like, what caught
Dude,
you most by surprise in terms of like when you were actually deeply in product development?
well, I mean, look, I don't know who your audience is, right? I'm going to take my glasses off for this one because it's pretty important. So I don't know who your audience is, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are just normal people who are very excited about AI, right? Listen, if you're ever going to start a company, this is your time. This is it. Buckle up. There's this core technology and there's just a shit ton of applications that can be built on top of it. It really is a whole new industry, right? So what surprised me the most is that exactly what I said happened. Like there's a new AI, it's powerful enough, people are extremely productive. Just like when nuclear came out, there's a bunch of applications you can build: nuclear submarine, nuclear power plant. Like, it's incredible what you can do with this new AI technology. And yeah, what surprised me the most from Zero Inbox is there's just this giant market. There's a huge, huge amount of the population that wants to use these AIs, and you can build it. You can 100% build it. Also, I'll be releasing the technology that we use from getting a person signed up, okay, to subscribed, to handling payments, the AI portion, everything. So other people can build these as well.
Interesting. I mean, with that being said, you are now in the process, from what I understand. I only seen one YouTube video of this, but of forming another AI company, Thali AI. I saw your YouTube video 5 days ago, and I watched that. So tell me more about, like, are you shifting from Zero Inbox to Thali AI? What is Thali AI? What's the thought process
So,
here?
so that was the other surprising point from all of these people. So we have over 10,000. This is insane. Like, no investors, okay? Like, just my money from Apple savings, we have 10,000 users on Zero Inbox. That's crazy. Crazy. Like, dude, I had so many marketing campaigns on the go that people were calling me and running them. Like, I don't even know how this happened. So the surprising thing was, firstly, that people loved it. Second, that their usage was weird. Like, there was one guy that called me or emailed me and we had a chat. I thought the problem of email was too many emails. Okay. It turns out the core pain, because as an entrepreneur, you're not looking for the pain. You're looking for the pain behind the pain. That core problem was people who had very few emails. They just wanted to be even more efficient. They wanted to get more insights into their inbox, right? So it was these salespeople that were overwhelmed by communication. So I talked to a bunch of these salespeople who are using Zero Inbox, and I came up with Thali. This idea that, I'm not going to share too much, but basically, if you're a salesperson, right, and you're getting all these incoming requests, some of them are duds. It doesn't make sense. So the core tenet is a salesperson is one person and can have a call with only one person at a time. Okay, that's one-to-one. With AI, you can have a salesperson manage this AI and talk to tens of thousands of people. They only get the most important people that they want to talk to, or people that fit their product, their market, and then they actually have the most valuable conversations, right? So that's Thali, is that you have all of these people already in your leads, and you want a way to basically figure out who's the best ones. There's a few other little things that we're adding. So in the future, every single person who's of importance, just like, remember when all these famous people got Twitter and everybody was like, oh my God, you can talk to a famous person. In the future, everybody's going to have an AI agent. It's going to be in their LinkedIn, in their bio. It's going to say Thali.ai/Liam, Thali.ai/Catherine. These important investors from Sequoia, who gives a fuck? Like, I'm sorry, but those people are going to have an AI agent. There's going to be a bunch of young kids who are wanting to be entrepreneurs or actors who are going to talk to these agents, and if they fit the bill and, whatever, these people are going to have conversations with them, just like us right now. In the future, we will set this meeting up together, firstly through our AIs. It's the only way.
Why are you so confident in that future?
I think there's two things. So firstly, it will be so much more efficient, and people will be doing so much more. Again, your productivity is going to increase, and you're just capable of more and more and more. You're going to need these agents to continue to just compete, right? when productivity increases, initially everybody has all these goods, right? So we had electrification. Everybody was so excited. Oh my God, dishwashers. Oh my God. We now have a washing machine. Initially, productivity increases, the goods increase in society. Then those things become expensive and everybody's just trying to compete with each other for status for the same goods because it becomes expensive again. At the beginning, you will have an AI engine because it's fun, right? Because it'll make you more productive. You'll be able to do more. Then you'll have to do it because it's competition, because your friends have it and your competition has it. Third reason is, yeah, you could just have a form, right? It's like, hey, you want to have a podcast with me? Fill out this form once you get famous enough and I'll deal with it. It's just a better form. It's like saying when the internet came out, why would I put my products that I sell online? Why would I put my menu online? I have a paper menu on my window. It's just easier to consume. There's just a few things that make it better. You can ask questions to the AI that I can't when I'm setting up a meeting with you. What are we going to talk about? Has he had other people on his podcast? I can't ask a form that. It's just better.
You sound as if you have a lot of predictions and insight and understanding of what's going to happen in the next couple of years. What other trends or predictions do you have for the AI or the automation, the agent space in the next couple of years? What are you predicting to happen?
I don't have too much on the core technology. That's right. I think that's obviously from what they're already doing all that predicting. So from what they're saying, the bigger the model gets, the more data, the more training, the better it gets. Furthermore, okay, I guess I do have some predictions. So when the compiler came out, right? So you were building all this code, right? Then we got better and better compilers. We got better and better coding languages, right? When the first, dude, this is what people have to understand. It's like ChatGPT 3.5 was like the third version of this stuff. Even if it's the fifth, people are obsessed and it was only the third version and they hand trained all the data, right? Now they have models where they can generate training data. They can have people. It's just more and more efficiency. You build the first tool, you use that tool to build the next tool. You become more efficient and you're becoming better and better. Maybe the training data people weren't that good. Okay. There was more mistakes. They had maybe 10% error, 5% error. Where now they have these tools, they're going to become 1% error. So it's only going to be better and better and better, right? There's more money now. They only did it with maybe a few $billion, but now there's market, right? So now it's going to be even better. The chips are going to get faster. So the training iteration cycles are better. So you can train different ideas quicker. It's just the core technology is going to get better and better. The other prediction is obviously similar to when the internet came out or iOS. There's just going to be a lot of applications built on this stuff. And, God knows what it is, but it's going to be a ton of stuff. And you can't say there's just not enough people to do this. There's way too many ideas.
Are you scared of any part of this future? Because you sound enthusiastic.
I mean, I think we have bigger problems to worry about than that. But yeah, I think, I am. I think the use of AI in war is already very obvious. Everybody knows this, right? With drones, how good they're getting. The ethics behind that, man, that's just not good, right? Even your day-to-day life, bureaucracy, at the beginning, they're going to sell it again that, oh, it's going to make things more efficient. Oh, it's so good. But the problem is that human to human connection is really good. Bro, do you know those SSN numbers, those social security numbers? I
What do
was
you
in the
mean by
US.
the SS numbers?
Social security. If you're in America or Canada, we all have a social security number that identifies us when we deal with the government. Okay. So we need that number. When I was first working in the US, it was 2015, Uber had just come out. I was like hailing rides and shit. I lost my, I was too lazy. I didn't go and get my social security number and I needed it to do taxes. So one day my friends are like in downtown or whatever. I go to the office. I sit through this Kafkaesque like shit, like office line. And I finally get in. I get in there. I sit with the guy and I'm like, I need my social security number. He looks at me and he's like, if you had come last week, I could have just printed it on this paper. And I'm like, why can't you do it now? He's like, they just made a new law. It's not allowed. You have to send a letter. We have to send it to you. It's going to take weeks. And I look at him and I'm like, you're telling me the number is right in front of you. And he's like, and I'm like, if you were to just write it down, this would save me months of pain. And he's like, the guy looks me in the eye, starts writing it down, and hands me the paper. I'm going to tell you, no AI will ever do that. They will just say, sorry, not allowed. That's a very small thing.
Yeah.
But, bro, life as you know it is going to get a whole lot better. And then just like every technology, a whole lot fucking worse. And and then there's going to be a few people who get very, very rich.
Yeah.
It's
I
just the
mean,
way of the world.
hopefully with like maybe the transparency and honesty it can provide, it would maybe end up combating corruption in some manner or another. I know there's been lots of conversation around AI and blockchain technology to do this. So that's potentially one, but it will become much more of a pain in the arse as well with like SOPs for processes like this. It was a really good example as well. It sheds a lot of insight into that. Want to bring things back for a second. You'd mentioned the dishwasher of the future before. Tell me about Surf. What is Surf?
So,
Why are you doing
sir,
it? Tell me about it.
bro, I just had this idea, right? I just said, I was walking around and I just said, man, dishwashers haven't changed in years. And you know, there's some things that don't need changing. So I'm not this type of guy who's like, I'm gonna go change everything. Toasters are great. They work. Okay. Dishwashers take over a fucking hour to run, an hour and a half. Okay. Sometimes you don't even fill the whole thing. If you're single or you live with one other person, unless you have like 5 kids, you're never filling that thing, right? So sometimes you have to like half run it, or it has to sit and wait until it gets full, and it's just like disgusting. Everybody's coming out with these new dishwashers and they're adding internet to it, and you're like, no, just make it faster and make me able to run it whenever the hell I want, right? That's it. That's all you want in a dishwasher. We solved it. So I was in the airport and I meet this guy named Chris. He's a freaking genius. So he helped build, I can't say what he built because there's like all these security laws around any rocket engineer who can build a rocket can build an ICBM. There's all of these laws. Chris is a genius. He's the lead rocket propulsion engine designer at Relativity Space. So we became friends. I've been flying to North Carolina for years building this thing. So I would just fly to North Carolina. This is what happens when you have too much money. I would fly to North Carolina. We would just build a dishwasher. Eventually, we got a good prototype. We got the good designs going. We got a patent lawyer. We submitted the patent. I'm finally patent pending. Yes. And yeah, now we're just playing with different ways to bring it to market. That's it. So we tried a Kickstarter. We just ran it. We didn't do any work. And because we're like, we have a patent, like we're sick. And it's like, that's not really how it works. You need lots of money. You need to show it to the right people. You need to show it in the right way. So yeah, we're just learning how to get this thing to market
Okay.
while we get that patent. But yeah, it's dope. It's modular. So if you just want to wash a few plates, you can just do that. You don't have to actually take it out, put it back into the cupboards because they're separated. So the reason why you're constantly having to put dishes in, put dishes out is because if you leave the clean dishes in, the dirty dishes get mixed up with it, right? But if they're in separate modules, it's in the same space as your regular dishwasher. You never have to do that. If they're in separate modules, you can wash them faster, under 10 minutes. If they're in separate modules, you don't have to wait a week until you wash. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So, I mean, what do you see is like, what's the end goal with this as a project?
Get the patent. My family will finally be proud of me. No, I'm kidding. I think definitely get that patent because it's fun. Apart, there's so many ways. Like, go meet an executive. I think there's a dishwasher company in New Zealand. I could email them, go and meet them, be like, hey, look, we have this patent. We'd love to get out there, um, raise some money. Once I gain some fame, you need a lot of money for this shit. It's like, if you have money, you can get whatever you're wanting in front of everybody. Yeah, we'd love to build it. Why not? Like, Chris is a genius. I'd love to have him, a few days a week come in, help design the actual, like the actual manufacturing of the dishwasher, and yeah, get it to people's hands.
Awesome. Well, when it does get made, I'd love to see it. I'd love to get used to it. Maybe I'll end up living in the US. I can get one for myself. And you're going to call it Surf? Surf is like the
Yes, sir.
finalized name.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, hopefully everyone can get a surf in their room in their house very soon. With that being said, I want to bring things holistic, and I want to understand a little bit more about like what motivates you. I spoke to you recently, and you said that you just kind of got back from doing the Camino de Santiago not long ago. Like, what is it about your personality that made you do that in the first place, and what did you learn from it?
The Camino Santiago was, look, I think, how do I say this? People's lives, I don't know about you, but I just don't think it's the most exciting thing. Like, people getting up at the same time, going to work. First of all, stability, what that provides you is very good, right? You can learn things, you can improve yourself, make incredible gains in your life. I get it. And it's pretty much the only way you can make really deep connections with people. It's through that slow, you know what I mean? But I was getting bored, man. Like, just getting bored with just the routine, going to the same coffee shop. It's just like whatever. I was reading Arnold's biography, and in the biography he said, there's a lot of people that go on walks to gain new ideas, new insights into their lives. And he said, a lot of people do the Camino Santiago. It's a 30-day hike. So then the moment I read this, a few hours later, I booked a flight. The next week, I was in London, England, on my way to the Camino. I partied for about 6 days straight, ate McDonald's every single night, and then I realized, I was like, wait, why did I come here? I'm like, no, okay, I need to go do the Camino. I get to the Camino. It took a month, 1 month of walking through northern Spain. Bro, I learned Spanish by the end of it. It was incredible. Yeah, I think doing things like that make life a lot more exciting. A lot of times, it's who you do it with. So, it's the journey along the way, and you meet great people. You're like a kid again, right? Like, doing all these things, like getting a patent for the dishwasher, doing Camino, starting these businesses. It's all about this internal state of flow. Like, it's just, in a really complex way, it's just being totally in tune. An entrepreneur is in tune. Okay. There's no good entrepreneur that's building products for nobody. You're in tune with the market, their tastes change, and just being present, right? Just noticing, hey, there's a lot of salespeople out there that would love to use Thali. There's a lot of people out there with a shit ton of emails that just want to organize it. Um, yeah, and I think everybody should do the Camino Santiago. Everybody. Like, it would just really, really, really help your life, I think.
Yeah, I've been dying to do it for a while, and just waiting for a point in my life that I have enough of a break between jobs, positions, careers that I'm going to do it. So it's definitely first on my list. And I just spoke with Justin Hardy, who's big on LinkedIn, like AI funnels kind of expert, and he's doing the Tour de Mont Blanc at the moment as well.
Oh wow,
So yeah, there's a
cool. What
lot.
is that?
Sorry.
What is that?
It's around France and Italy. I'm pretty sure. I think it's 100 mile loop, that you go on. So it's like a 5 day to like a week long trek, and this massive loop that people go on. So people
Wow.
walk it, but there's also ultra marathons that happen on it as well. It's supposed to be one of the most beautiful hikes you can do in Europe.
So the main thing, I think, there's a few components to the Camino Santiago. So the first thing is that, there's a lot of people that do it with you. So that's nice, right? It helps you a lot. There's resources. So along the way, there's places you can stop. Anybody can do a Camino. Just go into Kenya and just walk and don't stop walking. And it's like, no, for most people, you need resources. You need a bit of food. You need a place to sleep. Camino gives you that. The other thing for the healing, or I wouldn't call it healing, but the growth, your growth as a human being, or your the calming of your mind from the bullshit of our society, right? This insane go go go, is time. So a lot of people did the Camino for a week. I, doing it for 3 weeks, walking the whole trail to a month, you get the real benefits, and that just takes time. Right? It takes time for your brain to just let go and just slowly, slowly heal and relax, man. Like, dude, by the end of it, like, I met these two girls, and I remember at the beginning I said, why did you do the community? Why are you here? And they're like, we just want to have fun. We just want to spend time together. I saw them 3 weeks later, and they were glowing. Just regular Americans, just glowing. They were happier. They were calm. At the end, you have all these people who are doing the Camino, and they're only doing like a 6 day hike or a 5 day hike, while we've been walking for 3 weeks. And the most incredible thing, put a person who's been walking for 21 days next to a person who just showed up. The person who just showed up won't shut up about their job, their stupid job that they're getting paid 50K a year and they're so proud of. Like, it's like, you should be proud of your job, absolutely, and your work. But it's like, shut up, bro. Like, the person who's done the Camino for 3 weeks is calm, at peace. They're happy within themselves. They're just good. And you put them next to this other guy, and it's just hilarious. Like you actually can't. Like, there's no word for it. But the people on the Camino can't stand them. Like, it tests you, man. It's triggering. It's very different.
Yeah,
And
I
you
can
know what?
imagine.
But all that shows you is there's a difference between being in nature and with others and being in the city. Like, you just get in a different mind state.
I usually round off these podcasts by asking people for advice for maybe entrepreneurs or someone looking to just enter AI, but I want to switch a little round for you. You have quite a balanced approach between building tech companies, entrepreneurship, but also taking enough time to yourself to explore these kind of self development exercises like going and doing the Camino. So, if you were to maybe give someone general advice on how to find that balance, what would you say?
So I'll give you a story. So basically, I had this big investor conference. So we went from 300 or 500 entrants to 25. Okay, so we made it to the top 25, and they told me, come to this place on. So this was like a Wednesday, and they're like, next Tuesday, come to this building and give a speech for 90 seconds. You're going to meet investors. They have all this money. It's going to be incredible. First of all, whenever people tell you investors have money, they don't. And if they do, it's not for you. Unless you get really good, and at that point, they're calling you anyways. You don't even need to go to these things. Besides the point. So I said, I'm going to go into nature. I'm going to go do a really crazy fucking hike in the middle of the woods, like in Canada. Like, we got bears. Like, I went in middle of nowhere. I biked 100 kilometers, put a heavy backpack on, like everything. I biked through the woods. I got there, did this hike. It was insane. Camped out. I did all this, okay? Because I said, if I go into nature, then listen to this logic. I'm going to feel amazing. I'm going to go in front of these investors. I'm going to give the speech of my life and I'm going to make a bunch of money. so, so the idea is in our society is we're so work driven that we think anything we do is going to result in a better work. So the work-life balance bullshit is I'm going to have balance in my life so that I'm a better worker. Do you hear yourself? Right? You want balance in your life because that is your life. You go into nature to feel great, not because you want to be a better worker at the office, which obviously will happen. You're going into nature to feel better because that is the aim in itself. It's like people sitting down and doing meditation. It's like, I'm going to sit and I'm going to meditate for 40 minutes. And then at the end, I'm going to gain something. It's like this insane thing where, they're waiting for the carrot. And it's like, no, sitting down, being able to sit with yourself and enjoy the moment is the carrot.
Wow. It's, that's a perspective shift, and something I definitely lose sight of quite a lot. Getting so wrapped up in work. I'm 25 years old, so it's very easy to get wrapped up in this idea of a career and everything we're building here and stuff as well. So that's
No,
definitely something that's
that's
pertinent and I needed to hear.
but that's also important. Like you do have. I mean, here's the sad truth. Like the most energetic period of your life is your 20s, right?
Yeah.
The moment where everybody wants to talk to you, everybody wants to help you out is it's in your 20s. So no, you're doing it right. And there's material wealth is very important. You might not see it now. Other people might say like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go party. And yeah, you should definitely party, have some fun. But when you're 50 or 60 and you can't work and you see how people treat someone who doesn't have that, you don't want to be, you want to work hard in your 20s. It's good. There's nothing wrong with doing that.
All
And
right.
you know what? All the fun things in life require money. And yeah, like, there's the spiritual side, that side, the feeling great, being in nature, having fun with your friends, all of that. But then also there's the fun side, and it costs money to go to Vegas. Like, I'm sorry, that's just what it is.
Amazing. If someone wants to find out more about what you're doing, who you are, how to connect with you, where would they be best to get in contact with you?
Go on my LinkedIn. I write the funniest shit. I'm constantly writing posts. Um, there's just more ideas than I have time to write. But yeah, I write all of my own stuff. Um, yeah, it's just super fun. I know who said LinkedIn couldn't be fun, but it's fun. Trust me. Just follow me.
Awesome. Appreciate you coming on the show. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And yeah, I can't wait for people to listen to this.